You're watching Channel 2, Houston's Super Bowl station.
The news comes alive on 2. Presented in part by Maryland Club Coffee. Ground, instant, and freeze-dried.
It was 10 years ago today that American astronauts landed on the moon. Today we are here live at the Mission Control Area at the Johnson Space Center and also
Ron Stone at 5 with Doug Johnson.
Well, before we go out to Gillies to visit that place and see what it was like before Hollywood.
Channel 2, let's all be there.
Now, Ron Stone. Weather with Doug Johnson. Ron Franklin on sports. This is Channel 2 News at 5. Now, Channel 2 News with Bill Balleza. Jan Carson. Weather with Doug Johnson. Ron Franklin on sports. This is Channel 2 News at 6.
Good evening, everyone. Bill Balleza has the evening off.
Channel 2, let's all be there.
Now, Channel 2 News with Ron Stone. Jan Carson. Weather with Doug Johnson. Ron Franklin on sports. This is Channel 2 News at 10.
Sheriff's deputies are investigating an apparent double murder.
KPRC-TV Houston. The news starts now. Live from Houston, this is Channel 2 News Today with Dan O'Rourke, Joanne Valley Rush, Kathy Turner, and the Channel 2 News team.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Terry Answer. Coming up on Channel 2 News at 5, more disease-carrying mosquitoes have been discovered in Houston. The world's first AIDS hospital opens its doors here. And more older Houstonians are being abused and neglected. We'll have special extended coverage.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. The news starts now. Live from Houston, this is Channel 2 News with Bill Balleza, Terry Answer, Doug Johnson, Ron Franklin, and the Channel 2 News team. Channel 2, KPRC-TV. Live from Houston, this is Channel 2 News with Bill Balleza, Terry Answer, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Good evening, everyone. A Houston family tonight is grieving for the loss of its 2 children. Good evening, everyone.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. The news starts now. Live from Houston, this is Channel 2 News at 6 with Ron Stone, Jan Carson, Doug Johnson, Ron Franklin, and the Channel 2 News team. Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston. The news starts now. Live from Houston, this is Channel 2 News with Ron Stone, Jan Carson, Doug Johnson, Ron Franklin, and the Channel 2 News team.
Harris County Sheriff's divers are still searching the San Jacinto River tonight for the body of a 14-year-old Houston boy.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston. The news starts now. Live from Houston, this is Channel 2 News with Ron Stone, Jan Carson, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
In most places, Memorial Day is a time for Americans to remember their dead. In tornado-ravaged Zaragoza, it is time to bury the dead. Hello, buddy. I'm Ron Stone.
And I'm Jan Carson.
KPRC-TV, Houston. The news starts now. Live from Houston, this is the late edition of Channel 2 News with Ron Stone, Jan Carson, Doug Johnson, Ron Franklin, and the Channel 2 News team.
Candidate Bill Clement is saying tonight that if he is elected governor, he will fire the director of the Texas Department of Corrections and all of his top aides.
Farming town.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston. Live from Houston, this is Channel 2 News with Tim Lake, Sylvia Perez, Melvin Epps, Duke Fry, and the Channel 2 News team.
You're watching Houston's own Channel 2.
It's nearly noon with Gail Anderson, Dan O'Rourke, Dave Dixon, and the Channel 2 News team.
Good morning, and no, your eyes don't deceive you, and your clock is not broken. It is
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. This is The Scene at 5 with Ron Stone, Doug Johnson, and the Channel 2 News team.
Hello, buddy. I'm Ron Stone.
And I'm Doug Johnson, and this is The Scene at 5.
15 years ago.
At 5.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. This is The Scene at 5 with Ron Stone, Doug Johnson, and the Channel 2 News team.
Guys, still have...
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. Ron Stone's Scene at 5 with Doug Johnson and the Scene at 5 crew.
Well, we got some bad weather coming into the Houston area, though it's been a relatively nice day today.
Oh, yes. Really?
Thank you. Discount Tire Company.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. Now, Channel 2 News at 6 with Jan Carson, Bill Balleza, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Good evening. Penelope Hatteras wants to offer a new service.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. Channel 2 News at 6 with Jan Carson, Bill Balleza, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Good evening, everyone. Today was a day of Thanksgiving at a Houston church.
Channel 2, NBC's news station of the year. Now, Channel 2 News Nightcast with Ron Stone, Jan Carson, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Hello, buddy. I'm Ron Stone. Jan Carson is off this evening, and Richard.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV. Now, Channel 2 News Weekend.
Good evening. I'm Larry Audison for Tim Lake. Here's what's happening.
Channel 2, NBC's news station of the year. Now, Channel 2 News Weekend with Tim Lake, Linda Laurel, Ted Shaw, Rick Swartz, and the Channel 2 News team.
Hello, everybody. I'm Linda Laurel. Tim Lake will join us live from Galveston in just a moment, but first, our top stories.
Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news source. Now, Channel 2 News at 5.
The celebration continues today in the new unified Germany.
Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news source. Now, Channel 2 News at 6.
Hello, buddy. A 20-year-old man has been charged with involuntary manslaughter in a shooting that left an innocent bystander dead.
Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news source. Now, Channel 2 News Weekend.
It's Afternoon with Ron Stone.
Very talented Mr. Chuck Jones in just a moment, but first, let's get the latest news.
KPRC-TV, Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news source. Now, Channel 2 News at 5. With Bill Balleza, Jan Carson, Roland Galvan, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team. KPRC-TV, Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News at 6, with Ron Stone, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Este programa es transmitido simultáneamente en español.
KPRC-TV, Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news source. Now, Channel 2 News, Nightcast, with Bill Balleza, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team. If it should choose...
Este programa es transmitido simultáneamente en español.
KPRC-TV, Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News, Nightcast, with Bill Balleza, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Good evening, folks. More than 30 middle school students.
KPRC-TV, Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News Weekend with Tim Lake, Linda Lowell, Ted Shaw, Spencer Tillman, and the Channel 2 News team.
President Bush and the First Lady continue their working visit to Houston this weekend. Tonight, they go out for Chinese food. Tomorrow, it's trade talks with Mexico. Good evening, everyone. Before going out...
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News at noon with Bob Nicholas, Dan O'Rourke, Roland Galvan, and the Channel 2 News team.
Este programa es transmitido simultáneamente en español.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News at 10 with Bill Balleza, Linda Lowell, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Houstonians line up on both sides of the tax hike issue at HISD tonight. But much happier money talk from Corpus Christi, where a Houston area man has become an instant millionaire. Good evening, everyone. Bill Balleza is off tonight. We'll meet the state's newest lottery millionaire in just a moment, but first, tax...
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News with Ron Stone, Linda Lowell, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team. Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News with Bill Balleza, Linda Lowell, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Police are looking for someone who's been shooting at cars on the Katy Freeway.
A state district judge has overturned the conviction of a man accused of burning a Denver Harbor family to death.
And the state Senate passes a school finance plan. Good evening, everyone. First, the freeway shooting.
Las noticias de Canal 2 son transmitidas en español.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News with Bill Balleza, Linda Laurel, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Good evening.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, live from the Astrodome, Channel 2 News. Coverage of the Republican National Convention, plus all the day's news.
To the 1992.
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News with Cernmin Chow, Larry Ortis, Ted Shaw, and Craig Roberts with Sports Sunday.
Good evening.
Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News.
Las noticias de Canal 2 son transmitidas en español.
KPRC-TV, Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News with Bill Balleza and Linda Laurel, Doug Johnson, Lisa Molosky, and B.B. Burns with an inside business report.
Good evening.
KPRC-TV, Channel 2, Houston's 24-hour news channel. Now, Channel 2 News with Cernmin Chow, Larry Ortis, Ted Shaw, Lisa Molosky, and the channel.
This is Channel 2, Houston's official NBA championship station. Now, a Rocketball edition of Channel 2 News. Complete coverage of the Rockets and all of the news.
Good evening. Cernmin will join us again tomorrow, and we hope the real Rockets show up too.
TV, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston.
Well, one Texas man's...
Live from KPRC-TV, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston Sunday morning. From KPRC-TV, this is News 2 Houston at noon.
Well, it's no doubt.
Next, a News 2 Houston exclusive. Another case of meningitis in Fort Bend County. Plus, a Boston medical reporter dies following a hospital mistake.
500 fathers head to court on Saturday, and Cato talks about his relationship with Nicole. The news starts now.
Now, live from KPRC-TV, this is News 2 Houston, Nightbeat.
It has happened again. A student at a Fort Bend school is in the hospital tonight with meningitis. Good evening, everyone. The big story tonight, the fifth grader is in intensive care tonight.
You're watching Bill Balleza, Linda Laurel, Roland Galvan with AccuWeather, Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston, Nightbeat. Bill Balleza, Jan Carson, Roland Galvan with AccuWeather, Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston at the Rodeo.
Take care.
Stay tuned.
Now, Channel 2 Sports Sunday.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to start with the baskets and the Rockets.
This is KPRC-TV Houston. Now, live from Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston, Daybreak.
A happy Tuesday morning to you all, and welcome back to News 2 Houston Daybreak.
In our headlines this morning, a young man...
This is KPRC-TV Houston. Now, live from Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston Saturday morning.
The focus turns to family in a mother's murder case near a...
You're watching Irv White, Janet Shamlian, and AccuWeather with Carl Parker on News 2 Houston Saturday morning, where local news comes first.
Good morning and welcome back.
This is KPRC-TV Houston. Now, live from Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston Sunday morning.
Investigators are
Home of the 1996 Summer Olympics. This is News 2 Houston Sunday morning.
A Houston man tries to cope with.
This is KPRC-TV Houston. Now, live from Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston at noon. Now, breaking news.
And that breaking news comes from Bel Air, Harris County, where a man has reportedly shot and killed his mother and then turned the gun on him.
This is KPRC-TV Houston. Now, live from Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston, first at 4.
Charles Barkley on his best behavior in a Cleveland courtroom as a jury takes his side in a lawsuit over a barroom brawl. Now Sir Charles reacts to getting off the hook.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
This is KPRC-TV Houston. Now, live from Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston at 5 o'clock.
She was killed in her home near River Oaks, shot 12 times in the head and chest. But now this mother's murder takes a dramatic new twist. Her own husband is arrested, a father accused in his own wife's death.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rob Johnson.
And I'm Linda Laurel. More than before shooting himself in a family tragedy.
I'm Tony Kowaleski, live in Bel Air. We talked to a priest, the first man to speak to the gunman. The story next.
A jury's decision for Charles Barkley, accused in a bar fight.
The first of 6 suspects stung in the City Hall scandal went to court today. I'm Phil Archer. That story's coming up.
Hi, Frank Billingsley in the AccuWeather Storm Center. Another hazy day tomorrow and a little something to watch in the Gulf.
And fixing a leaky roof with 2 on your side.
The 6 o'clock difference is next.
News 2 Houston 6 o'clock difference starts now.
A woman is shot in a home in Bel Air. Police say her son pulled the trigger before shooting himself in this family tragedy. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's big story, a shocking murder and suicide attempt.
This is KPRC-TV Houston. Now, live from Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston, Nightbeat.
A trip on a twin-engine plane comes to a tragic end.
You're watching Bill Balleza, Linda Laurel, meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather, and Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston, Nightbeat, where local news comes first. You're watching KPRC-TV Houston, live from the KPRC News Center. This is News 2 Houston, where local news comes first. Daybreak first at 5 starts now. You're watching Pauline Chu, Matt Jablow, meteorologist Chuck George's AccuWeather, Don Armstrong's traffic, and Brennan Lothery with sports on News 2 Houston Daybreak first at 5, where local news comes first.
The time right now is 5:09 and
You're watching Bob Nicholas, Olga Villaverde, meteorologist Chuck George's AccuWeather, Don Armstrong's traffic, and Brennan Lothery with sports on News 2 Houston Daybreak at 5:30, where local news comes first. You're watching KPRC-TV Houston, live from the KPRC News Center. This is News 2 Houston, where local news comes first. Daybreak at 6 o'clock starts now.
One person is seriously injured after a robbery in southeast Houston, and now police are searching for suspects. We'll have a live report.
A Conroe.
You're watching KPRC-TV Houston, live from the KPRC News Center. This is News 2 Houston, where local news comes first. The noon news starts now.
It was a suit that asked for billions of dollars in smoking-related damages, but it will never head to court. Now Texas becomes a third state to settle with tobacco companies.
You're watching Bob Nicholas, Dominic Soxa, and meteorologist Chuck George's AccuWeather on News 2 Houston at noon, where local news comes first.
On the Health Beat this afternoon.
You're watching Dominic Soxa, Cambrell Marshall, and meteorologist Chuck George's AccuWeather on News 2 Houston at noon, where local news comes first.
A community turns out to help a Katy family who lost a child in a car crash last week.
Now, News 2 Houston at noon, where local news comes first. Now, breaking news.
And that breaking news happening in Northwest Harris County. News Chopper 2 above a scene where a dog attack has left 2 kids in very serious condition.
You're watching Dominic Soxa, Cambrell Marshall, and meteorologist Chuck George's AccuWeather on News 2 Houston at noon, where local news comes first.
Federal legislation is being proposed in the name of a 4-year-old.
KPRC-TV Houston, live from the KPRC News Center. This is News 2 Houston, where local news comes first. First at 4 starts now.
They hope to ring in the new year on the high seas. Instead, they'll welcome 1998 on shore.
Houston, we have a problem.
Now, what led up to Houston's latest cruise crisis?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
You're watching Rob Johnson, Dominic Soxa, meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather, and Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston first at 4, where local news comes first.
Here's a rather personal question. How many...
You're watching Dominic Soxa, Cambrell Marshall, and meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather on News 2 Houston first at 4, where local news comes first.
The setup for the Thanksgiving Super Feast had some...
Now, News 2 Houston first at 4, where local news comes first.
A break for a team locked up after a rough play in a soccer game is our big story this afternoon.
You're watching Dominic Soxa, Cambrell Marshall, and Chief Meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather on News 2 Houston first at 4, where local news comes first.
It is something a lot of us are familiar.
Now, News 2 Houston at 5, where local news comes first.
Good evening. Our big story is one of the most dramatic death penalty cases in Texas.
You're watching Dominic Soxa, Cambrell Marshall, meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather, and Chris Raggy with sports on News 2 Houston at 5 o'clock, where local news comes first.
Earlier this week, we showed you how human...
You're watching KPRC-TV Houston, live from the KPRC News Center. This is News 2 Houston, where local news comes first. The 6 o'clock difference starts now. You're watching Bill Balleza, Linda Laurel, meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather, and Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston at 6 o'clock, where local news comes first.
Fumes caused a scare on a Metro bus this morning in North.
Now, News 2 Houston at 6, where local news comes first.
And good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with breaking news.
Some strong storms have moved into the Houston.
You're watching Bill Balleza, Linda Laurel, meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather, and Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston at 6 o'clock, where local news comes first.
Hundreds of pounds of food meant for customers ended up in the trash.
Sent there.
You're watching KPRC-TV Houston, live from the KPRC News Center. This is News 2 Houston, where local news comes first. The Nightbeat starts now. You're watching Bill Balleza, Linda Laurel, meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather, and Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston, Nightbeat, where local news comes first.
Word tonight that the federal government has fined 8...
You're watching Susan Lennon, Pauline Chu, Carl Parker's AccuWeather, and Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston Nightbeat, where local news comes first.
Brazoria County victims of Tropical Storm Francis have a new place.
You're watching Bill Balleza, Linda Laurel, meteorologist Frank Billingsley's AccuWeather, and Craig Roberts with sports on News 2 Houston Nightbeat, where local news comes first.
Very lucky break. A pilot.
From KPRC-TV, where local news comes first, this is News 2 Houston at daybreak, first at 5.
Good morning, everyone. It's almost
News 2 Houston Daybreak, first at 5, with Pauline Chu, Don Armstrong, meteorologist Chuck George's AccuWeather, and Tanya Carr with traffic, where local news comes first.
Now, power has been
first. From KPRC-TV, where local news comes first, this is News 2 Houston at 6.
And good evening, everyone. Our big story tonight.
Live from KPRC Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston with the Nightbeat team.
Now, breaking news. And that breaking news is coming to us from Phoenix, Arizona, where...
You're watching the News 2 Houston Nightbeat team, where local news comes first. Live from KPRC Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston Daybreak, first at 5.
Stories you want to know this morning: an arrest made in the missing basketball player mystery. We'll tell you who's behind bars right now accused of killing the Baylor student.
Also, Americans fell in love with her and her dramatic story during the war with Iraq. Well, now former POW Jessica Lynch is getting ready to come home today.
Very nice homecoming. We look forward to that, and it's good to see.
Live from KPRC Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston Daybreak at 5:30.
This morning, a former Baylor basketball player is behind bars accused of killing another player, his roommate. The latest on this developing story is coming up on Daybreak.
Plus,
Live from KPRC Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston Daybreak.
The chances of a happy ending seemingly slim this morning as police arrest a former Baylor basketball player for the death of his missing roommate. We've got the very latest on this story straight ahead.
And a statewide manhunt started overnight. Officials searching for a Galveston County man and this missing little boy. We have the very latest on the case coming up.
Live from KPRC Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Emily Aiken. Garcia is anchoring first at 4. Our big story.
You're watching News 2 Houston at noon with Garcia Mikaelian, meteorologist Wes Hohenstein's AccuWeather, where local news comes first.
A truckload of broccoli has been cleaned up on Interstate 10.
Live from KPRC Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston at 6 o'clock.
Good evening, everyone. Our big story: plans to target.
Live from KPRC Channel 2, where local news comes first. This is News 2 Houston with the Nightbeat team. Now, breaking news.
We begin tonight with breaking news, a break in the case of a missing Baylor basketball player. Patrick Dennehy's former roommate, Carlton Dotson, has been arrested and charged with Dennehy's murder.
You're watching the News 2 Houston Nightbeat team, where local news comes first.
Maybe it's happened to you, but if not, imagine having to worry about where your next meal is coming from. Now on Local 2 at 6, a cop shooter's claim. Did he shoot in self-defense?
A killer with a conscience, his apology to his victim's family.
And I ask for everybody's forgiveness.
You are now banned.
What you cannot do in some parts of the Houston area.
Dramatic danger. A helicopter crash caught on tape.
And live in large, the most expensive city.
All the big stories.
From the Local 2 News Center.
Now, live, Local 2 at 6.
Good evening, everyone. Linda is off tonight. Our big story: a police officer and the man who shot him, both on the stand in court today.
And tonight...
Now,
Local 2 at 10.
And good evening, everyone. Linda is in for Dominique tonight.
Our big story, the search.
Now, live, Local 2 News at 4 o'clock.
Good afternoon. I'm Bill Balleza.
And I'm Rachel McNeil in for Dominique. Spring break.
Next on Local 2 at 6, 3 children are found inside a car outside of a convenience store, and now one of them has passed away. An update on that developing story. Then as the rain continues to fall, flood fears hit some Houston neighborhoods. And what was it that made Roger Clemens decide to stay in Houston?
Now, live, Local 2 News at 6 o'clock.
Good evening. I'm Bill Balleza. It's been seriously gray and rainy out there all day long.
And I'm Wendy Corona. Thanks for joining us. It seems the rain just doesn't want to go away.
Now, live, Local 2 News, Nightbeat.
We begin tonight with breaking news in northwest Houston. That's where police are now on the scene of a deadly home.
You're watching Local 2, where local news comes first.
An ambulance fire brought traffic to a standstill on the Gulf Freeway today.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 4.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jerome Gray.
Hello, I'm Wendy.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 6.
Breaking news from downtown Houston. We're learning about missing guns from an HPD property room. Good evening and thanks for being with us. I'm Wendy Corona.
And I'm Jerome Gray. This is the...
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 10.
And tonight we are tracking Hurricane Dean. It's grown to a Category 4 hurricane, and now we're just watching and waiting for Dean to pick its target. Good evening. I'm Bill Balleza.
Hello, I'm Dominique Sox.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 10.
Hello, we thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Dominique Soxa.
And I'm Bill Balleza. Good evening. Tonight, one of Houston's biggest.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News.
New this morning, a Houston police officer is involved in a major accident when his patrol car is hit by an 18-wheeler.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 4:30 a.m.
Boy, is it Monday already? Good morning to you. Back to school Monday, August 24th, 2009. I'm Owen Plenty. Thank you for watching our brand new 4:30 newscast. I'm going to be honest, this is a work in progress, and we hope that you'll play a role in deciding what we do from here on out. Not you, Hank, but the viewers. Well, we do want to know what Hank thinks, too.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 6:30 a.m.
Well, good morning. We made it to Friday, March 5th, 2010. I'm Owen Plenty.
And I'm Amy Davis. Lauren Freeman has the morning off, and apparently so do the giraffes at the Houston Zoo.
Giraffes are always off.
Yeah, we're off. And
from KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 4.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jerome Gray.
Hello, I'm Wendy Corona.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 5.
Hello, we thank you for joining us today. I'm Dominique Soxa.
And I'm Bill Balleza. Good evening.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 6.
It's a case that gained national attention. Now the stepfather of the little girl once known as Baby Grace is on trial for her.
From KPRC, you're watching Local 2 News at 10.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dominique Soxa.
And I'm Jerome Gray in for Bill Balleza. Tonight...
Balleza, good evening.
From Local 2, home of click2houston.com. This is KPRC Local 2 News this morning.
We're so glad you're starting your Thursday with us. It is April 28th. I'm Lauren Freeman.
Good morning to you.
Live from Local 2, home of click2houston.com. This is KPRC Local 2 News Midday.
A fire at a North Houston apartment complex has left 22 families homeless.
Live from Local 2, home of click2houston.com. This is KPRC Local 2 News at 10.
Tonight, a Local 2 investigation. We have discovered inmates at a local jail were being supplied with cable TV porn. Where this happened and who let it happen, coming up.
Plus, a man shocked with a...
KPRC Local 2 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
We begin tonight with breaking weather. A monster tornado caught on camera tonight in Alabama. The word tonight, as many as 50 people killed in that state alone. And
live from Local 2, your home for the 2012 Olympic Games. This is KPRC Local 2 News.
Just a heartbreaking loss for a Harris County family. 6 people inside when their mobile home goes up in flames. Sadly, a 4-year-old boy did not make it out in time.
You are watching Local 2 News at 5.
Rescue crews near Litchfield, Illinois.
Live from Local 2, home of click2houston.com. This is KPRC Local 2 News at 10.
A mom punched and carjacked with her 4-year-old son just a few feet away.
Live from KPRC, Local 2 News at 5 starts right now.
We begin with breaking news from Southwest Houston. Sky 2 is live over a massive water main break.
Live from KPRC, Local 2 News at 10 starts right now.
Here's what's happening tonight. The government says he's dead, but this veteran is very much alive. His struggle to right a frustrating wrong. Only on 2 tonight.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
2 men lead Houston police on a high-speed pursuit ending just outside a middle school. The reason police were chasing them.
Deputies find a baby dead inside a home in northwest Harris County. What we've uncovered about the newborn's mom and why her other children are not living with her.
A great-grandfather minding his own business gets caught in the crossfire during a shootout at a laundromat. How his family is remembering him tonight.
But we begin tonight with new details on what led to a high-speed police chase that ended in front of a school. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Bill Balleza.
Hello, I'm Dominique Saxa.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News Today.
Breaking news this morning, a man killed after he answers the door at his Southeast Houston home. We are live at the scene with what friends of the victim are saying.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 5.
A father of 4 killed in a hit-and-run crash.
My kids are asking for their daddy.
Tonight, his widow speaks out only on 2.
A memorial meant for innocent victims of drunk drivers is trashed.
Out of all the places in the world to do this, y'all had to come do it on my daughter's property.
A look at the damage and the determination to find out who's responsible for the vandalism.
But we begin tonight with a breaking news alert involving former Subway spokesperson Jared Fogle. Multiple reports out of Indianapolis say Fogle is expected now to plead guilty to possessing child pornography.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
Right now at 10, vehicles vandalized, kids throwing rocks at moving cars, causing windows to shatter.
And then I could hear the glass cracking, and I knew my window had been busted.
Where it's happening and what's being done to stop it before somebody gets seriously hurt.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at noon.
At noon, a mother and her son terrorized in their home ahead what police say this man and 2 others did as they barged into that house.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 4.
Breaking at 4, mishandling allegations of sexual misconduct. That's what Cardinal Daniel DiNardo is accused of doing.
Next at 4, one woman's accusations and how the Archdiocese is responding at this hour. But first, we are tracking the tropics, a system in the Gulf just now starting to make its way into southeast Texas. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Keith Garvin.
And I'm Christine Noel.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 5.
At 5, an innocent child shot and killed inside his Channelview home. We're live with the latest on the investigation.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 6.
Football season.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
Here's what's happening right now at 10. Vicious attack. Stray dogs kill a family's beloved pet.
When I got out there, the big white dog had Bella's head in its mouth.
And this pup is not the only victim.
Channel 2 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
We are following two big breaking news stories right now. The first one coming to us from Fort Bend County, where
Channel 2 News begins right now with a severe weather alert.
Video is just into our newsroom now from West Houston. There are about 10 stranded vehicles on the Katy Freeway feeder near Memorial City Way next to Memorial City Mall. We're told the feeder from Memorial City Way to Bunker Hill, which is east, is completely flooded and not passable. The Houston Fire Department responded quickly to help drivers. The good news here, nobody.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News Today.
Good morning. We have breaking news. A standoff on the southeast side after a woman was shot. Multiple people are in handcuffs. We're getting a live report from the scene straight ahead.
Also breaking this morning, a man now in FBI custody for questioning after mercury spills in West Houston. We're telling you the signs you need to look out for after nearly 60 people were exposed.
Hey, temperature-wise, we're in the 70s right now, but it's going to take a dive this afternoon with a cold front that is scheduled for the, I don't know if it's scheduled, if they planned it there, they wrote it into the book and scheduled it, but it's coming.
Justin wrote it in.
Look, if they did, they would have planned it for overnight so that we could just wake up and go have one temperature versus two seasons throughout the day. Which
you like that?
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News Midday.
Right now at midday, tragedy strikes. A mother and her son are found dead in their Sugarland home. The father also dead as friends and family try to figure out how something like this could happen. Grief counselors are now on hand at the son's school.
Thanks for joining us. The news at noon starts right now.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at noon.
Right now at noon, a race to repair a massive water main leak in East Houston. City crews working around the clock to fix and replace the pipe that burst this time yesterday. Meanwhile, a water boil notice from that water main break is keeping restaurants on their toes to keep customers safe, while grocery stores are working to keep bottled water on shelves.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 4.
Now at 4, a teacher arrested. Well, we've learned about the now former New Caney ISD teacher accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a student.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 5.
A dreary evening across the Houston area. This is a live look from our San Felipe camera right now. The rain has already started falling in some parts, and that's expected to continue tonight into the overnight hours. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jonathan Martinez.
And I'm Sion Rhodes. It is going to be a soggy start for your work.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 6.
And we begin our news at 6 o'clock tonight with a tragedy that has devastated an entire community. An 8th grader hit by a car and killed as he rode his bike to school this morning. That young boy, only 14 years old.
He was crossing an intersection in Dayton, right there on Highway 321 and County Road 676 when he was hit. All new.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
Right now at 10, fiery crash.
Up the outside, wow. Crash into the wall, into the air.
The Daytona 500 marred by a final lap wreck. New information just in about the condition of the driver involved.
Channel 2 News begins right now with breaking news.
That breaking news is coming in the case involving the death of a Nassau Bay police sergeant. The mother of the suspect and her boyfriend have both been taken into custody. What just happened inside the courtroom?
Plus, Mercury mystery solved. Police arrest a teen in connection with the chemical spill in West Houston. What we're learning about that person.
And here's a live look at the Southwest Freeway right now. When you go outside for lunch, you will notice that the temperature is dropping. We're talking about how low it will go today with meteorologist Justin Stapleton. He's going to be here to give us a briefing in just a few moments. We want to start today, though, with today's big story. Breaking news in the death of the Nassau Bay police officer Kayla Sullivan.
This is KPRC 2 News Today.
Well, good morning. We have breaking news today. A fire at a restaurant that's been a staple in the Southwest Houston community for decades. What we know about the damage so far.
And President Biden is signing new restrictions today to try to stop the spread of mutated versions of the coronavirus, who will be impacted the most by his actions.
Well, your senses are not deceiving you. Temperatures are already in the 70s this morning. Wow. Even though the calendar says January, it'll be cooling down a bit. Time? All right, geez, I put all, whatever. Anyway, we'll just start the 5 o'clock show. Good morning. Yeah, welcome to Monday the 25th. I'm Owen Conflenti.
A lot of football yesterday. That's, yeah. I'm Lisa Hernandez. Anna Vita's tracking the traffic. But
This is KPRC 2 News Midday.
Right now at midday, more vaccination registrations are opening up across the Houston area. What's available now and when you'll be able to pre-register.
under arrest, a Florida paramedic facing charges accused of stealing vaccines meant for first responders, who he says pressured him into committing that crime.
A Harris County deputy headed for surgery after being shot in the line of duty. The latest on his condition and what we've learned about the suspect accused of pulling the trigger. But first, the latest information on the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Sirota.
And I'm Lisa Hernandez. KPRC is your Vaccine Central this morning.
This is KPRC 2 News at noon.
A Harris County Sheriff's deputy shot in the line of duty, still in the hospital this afternoon. The condition he's in right now.
Mounting frustration. People hoping to sign up for a coronavirus vaccine in our area met with technical issues. The response from Harris County.
The sunshine returns today. How long is it expected to stick around? But first, new details in a case that we first reported as breaking news to you yesterday. Harris County Sheriff's deputies say this is the man who shot and wounded one of their own. We were told
this is KPRC 2 News at 4.
Now at 4, a wait list for the COVID-19 vaccine. The new effort in Harris County to help those who are eligible for the vaccine but have struggled to find it.
Plus, charges dropped against the former Harris County public health doctor who was accused of stealing the COVID-19 vaccine.
We will have that in just minutes, but we begin with breaking news you saw first on clicktohouston.com. New charges, including a new murder charge announced against officers linked to the deadly botched police raid on Harding Street nearly 2 years ago.
This is KPRC 2 News at 5.
Right now at 5 o'clock and only on 2, a courtroom attack caught on camera as a suspect sucker punches another suspect right in front of a judge.
After you sign the order. Did you know you're arrested?
The man accused of throwing that punch is accused of also raping a teenage girl, and now he's in more trouble tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Gutierrez.
And I'm Lauren Freeman. That suspect.
This is KPRC 2 News at 6.
And happening right now in our nation's capital, the next step leading to former President Trump's second impeachment trial. Any minute now, House impeachment managers will carry the article of impeachment to the U.S. Senate. The formal charge is inciting an insurrection.
And here is the impeachment trial timeline going forward. Tomorrow, senators will be sworn in as jurors. Then a summons will be issued to former President Trump. Normally, the trial would begin immediately, but Senate leaders have agreed to a 2-week delay. We are streaming this ceremonial process on clicktohouston.com.
It's my understanding.
This is KPRC 2 News at 10.
Right now at 10, separating fact from fiction. Will the coronavirus vaccine alter your DNA?
Or can the shot infect you with the virus? We put those questions and more through the Trust Index.
Plus, are 2 masks better than 1? The nation's top doc and why he says you might want to consider it in the fight against COVID-19.
And more officers indicted. Nearly 2 years after that deadly botched raid on Harding Street, the DA's office connects 6 more members of HPD to the case. And that means now 12 Houston police officers have been connected to the wrongdoing in that botched raid. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Noel.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Gutierrez.
KPRC-2 News begins right now with a severe weather alert.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. An extended version of KPRC-2 News today covering the Arctic blast that's hitting southeast Texas.
Yes, our crews in the field are in the elements this morning, so you don't have to be. Anna Veed is tracking the road conditions for you, although people are strongly encouraged to stay at home.
Yeah,
Channel 2, KPRC-TV, Houston.